Moving on, elsewhere, inside Lacrosse releasing their preseason All-Americans today on the women's side of things.
Yeah, the North Carolina women leading the way. 4 on the first team alone. Overall, 6 in total.
The 4 UNC first-teamers, Katie Hogue, Jimmy Ortega, Taylor Moreno, Emma Trenchard. Hogue, a school record 73 assists in 2019 as a second-team All-American back then. Ortega setting the school's goals and points record last spring. Taylor Moreno, 4th in save percentage last spring in the nation, 8th in goals against average. And Trenchard, the 2019 ACC Defender of the Year.
The Orange also in the house. A couple of Syracuse players on that first team. Emily Horashuk scoring 75 goals last spring. That was 9th in the country, 94 points overall. Sarah Cooper, the 2019 ACC Rookie of the Year, leading Syracuse in caused turnovers with 33, second on the team in ground balls with 36 in her first season on campus. Impressive to be a sophomore and garner this kind of recognition.
That's big. Charlotte North and Brennan Dwyer filling out that attack unit. Dwyer, Northwestern's draw specialist. In the midfield, Andy Aldave, Allie Kennedy, Sammy Mueller. Defense featuring Allie Palermo and Cara Trombetta as well. All right, we bring in Tracy Wiener now to talk a little bit more about these lists. And Tracy, what sticks out in that first team is all those ACC players.
It's unbelievable. You only have 3 non-AC schools that are represented in this All-American list. That just goes to show you how powerful that the ACC has become. They are the premier conference right now, in Division I women's lacrosse by far. This list is unbelievable, though. And when you read it, each one of these kids is so spectacular. Powers Chuck from Syracuse. She's the human highlight reel. She's unbelievable. Katie Hogue is amazing. Her numbers speak for themselves. Charlotte North. We talk about that transfer to Boston College when everybody thought that Boston College might have to reload. No. They're not going to have an off year now because they have Charlotte North. She's amazing on herself. You can go on the entire list. Jamie Ortega, who I think is going to win the tour, you have Brennan Dwyer. You have Andy Aldave from Notre Dame, who's so talented. Allie Kennedy, who will be the best kid that nobody knows because, nobody pays attention, unfortunately, to Stony Brook. Even though they're one of the best teams in the country, they get, everybody thinks it was, the Kylie O'Miller, and yet they just keep getting better and better and better. And Kylie was the piece that brought them to national attention. Allie Kennedy is legit on her own. She's so good. I mean, we could go on with the whole list. Mueller from Virginia is an amazing midfielder. Again, Cooper at Syracuse is one of those kids that, you have two Syracuse players on the top of your All-American list. That puts them in a whole other category. Allie Palermo at Northwestern is an exceptional athlete. She's one of the fastest, hardest working kids around. Trenchard, as you know, is a great defender at UNC, as is Cara Trombetta. She's unbelievable out of Florida. And then Taylor Moreno in the cage is probably the top goalie right now in the country, if I had to say that. And, so when you look at it, North Carolina has an All-American first team in each position. They're not lacking in any of the spots. And that's why they are, to me, the team to beat.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Allie Kennedy. I got to see her at the President's Cup doing that during the Olympic-style game with the WPLL and when she was playing for the United States Women's National Team. She was the best player. I swear. She was the best player in the field that day. I can't wait to see her this year. I think you're right. She's going to have a little chip on her shoulder. Let's get to the no Maryland players on this first team, Tracy, which to me, it's a new decade. They were the team of last decade. This is a new decade. They're not on that first team.
It's so interesting because it's as talented as Maryland is year in and year out, and their record year in and year out, they really don't get the respect in the preseason that I think that they deserve. They just are so consistent. The bar is set so high. I mean, obviously the years they had Taylor Cummings, who I think is the best player in the world. They got some love in those years, but even in those years, they were really not as highly touted as some of the other schools. To not have one of their players on the top All-American list is surprising to me. They do have some on the second team, and all it's going to take is Maryland to go undefeated again, like they always do when everybody thinks that they can't, for these players to ascend to the next level. I mean, Brindy Griffin has shown year in and year out she's a steady Eddie that can deliver the ball on point, score when she has to. You have Callie Hartshorn. What else can she do? She had big shoes to fill going in for Taylor Cummings all these years, and Maryland hasn't missed a beat. When you graduate the talent that they have over the years, and for them to still be the reigning national champions, it really is unbelievable. Megan Doherty does a great job on defense. So Maryland kind of owns the second team All-American list, but for them, that's not going to be good enough. And trust me, that will be a conversation in their brand new stadium, locker room, and everything else about the lack of respect for probably the most respected team in the country. It does. It boggles my mind.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned Hartshorn. I thought she, to me, was the one that stuck out the most. That probably could be in that first team, right? To me, that's sort of what sticks out from the national championship a year ago.
I thought so. I definitely thought so. And I was also surprised that Izzy Skane wasn't put on the first team out of Northwestern. She's a one-woman wrecking crew. So when you look at those two, to me, those are the two on the second team. And Kerrigan Miller, who I think is one of the best midfielders in the United States. And she's also on the second team. But again, those are the teams, the USCs of the world, Northwestern, they haven't won a national championship in a while. So those you say, okay, we'll give you a pass because your team hasn't won the big one. But for the Maryland girls to be left off, it's surprising.
Yeah, I look at some of the ones that were also honorable mentions. I wrote down, I think, 3. Allie Bayoko was one, Maddie Jenner, and Taryn O'Miller. Those 3, to me, feel like by the end of the year, they're going to be in those top rungs, at least above the honorable mention.
Without a doubt. And Kara Urbank as well. Kara Urbank is so good. And she was only an honorable mention. I was really, really surprised to see that. But, you look at it, look, what I do like about the way that they set up this All-American list is they did it by position, and they didn't overwhelm it with a lot of people. So what it does is it gives the girls on team 1, look, we got to work harder to stay on this team. All the other players, 2, 3, and the honorable mentions are like, really? You'll see by the end of the season, you're going to be sorry that you didn't put me on one of those other teams. I think Ali Bianca is so talented. And you look at the players at UNC, and yes, they are wonderful in their talent. They are surrounded by so much talent in every position. Every player that comes in there is one of the best players in the United States. Where Bianca is she's carrying that group, and she's doing a tremendous job of keeping them in the NCAA race, and setting the bar for future players. She's helping with the recruiting process there because they are doing so well. So I always find it interesting how they determine these lists.
Yeah, with Taryn O'Miller too, Tracy. I know you know plenty about her, but too, I mean, she had 100 points her first 2 years. Last year, coming off the injury, still had 70. It feels like she's got a year under her belt again after being healthy. I feel like she could be poised, playing alongside Allie Kennedy, can really break out once again in her senior season.
Yeah, well, she's a tough matchup by far. And I think about Taryn. You want to talk about a kid who's had to play with a chip her whole life, and her sister Kylie are as close as humans can be. The family's the closest family I've ever met. If you follow them, everybody knows if you follow the family on Instagram, so many family photos. They love and adore each other. The O'Millers are the great lacrosse family that we have. They remind me of the Ortegas. And yet, I always feel like Taryn has lived in Kylie's shadow just a tad, but not enough to not go to Stony Brook. But these last 2 years without Kylie being on the team, were the years that Taryn can really establish herself as T.O. and K.O. Not always together like. I think the T.O. is going to come in and definitely play her senior year with a little bit of a chip on her shoulder. And I know we say that, but nobody's chip is bigger than Joe Spallina. Don't think that Joe's not in her ear saying, this is your chance to take over the country, and be Taryn O'Miller on your own. And nothing would make me happier. And I'm going to wind up texting the parents after this and being like, it's T.O.'s time to be, the leader of the pack.
Really well said, Tracy. That was really well done. We'll talk to you soon as the season goes on, all right?
I can't wait, guys. Let's get it started.